But every time Marcia turns around, they hand her a blue ribbon or something.
Oh, now, Jan, you know that isn't so. Marcia's worked very hard for those things.
Well, all I hear all day long at school is how great Marcia is at this, or how wonderful Marcia did that. Marcia, Marcia, Marcia!
More than 50 years ago, America welcomed the Brady family into their living rooms and into their hearts. They looked like the definition of perfect: a loving father, a radiant mother, 6 cheerful kids, and a home filled with laughter. But behind that picture-perfect image, a very different story was unfolding. The man who embodied the ideal dad was hiding a truth he couldn't share. The girl everyone dreamed of becoming was quietly falling apart. The woman with the warmest smile was burdened by a secret too heavy to reveal. And the child who seemed the most carefree came dangerously close to not surviving at all. 6 kids, 2 parents, 1 housekeeper. Yet beneath the surface, their lives were far from the happiness they portrayed. Number 1, we have Maureen McCormick, who played Marcia Brady. Marcia Brady always appeared as the perfect girl, beautiful, confident, and so outstanding that it made every sister exclaim, "Marcia, Marcia, Marcia." With her radiant smile, Maureen McCormick brought to the character an energy that was both charming and fragile, turning Marcia into a teenage icon in America for decades. Maureen was only 13 years old when the show premiered in 1969, and she appeared throughout all 117 episodes across 5 seasons, one of the central faces of the cast. Before that, she was just a child actress with a few commercials and small roles. The Brady Bunch wasn't just a stepping stone. It became an overwhelming shadow that loomed over her entire later career. Sadly, when the stage lights went out, Maureen's life took a dark turn. She fell into cocaine addiction, depression, and bulimia, and at one point, even traded her body for drugs. A disastrous audition for Raiders of the Lost Ark after days without sleep nearly shut every door in Hollywood. At one point, she stood on the edge of suicide, literally. But what still surprises many people is that she didn't collapse. She married Michael Cummings in 1985, became a mother, and slowly rebuilt her life with rare perseverance. In 2008, her memoir Here's the Story revealed everything and became a New York Times bestseller. Today, at nearly 70, she still appears in public, no longer the perfect Marcia, but a woman who has conquered her own darkness. Number 2. We have Barry Williams as Greg Brady, the oldest son with blonde hair and a confident smile. The kind of guy who always thinks he's figured out the world, carrying that teen leader energy that makes audiences both admire him and laugh at him. Barry Williams brought such natural charm to Greg that the character became a classic model of the big brother on American television. He was just 14 years old when the Brady Bunch first aired in 1969, and stayed on throughout all 5 seasons. Before that, Barry had a few small television roles, but it was Greg that made him a familiar face to millions of families, both a stepping stone and unintentionally a gilded cage that locked his career in place for many years afterward. No one could have predicted that this very fame would become his biggest obstacle. After the show ended, Barry was constantly turned down for being too much like Greg Brady, or only offered roles that poked fun at that same image. He turned to musical theater to find a way out, but even on Broadway, audiences still called him Greg. In 2001, a dispute with the Actors Equity Association cost him $52,000 in fines and damaged his professional reputation for years. His personal life was also turbulent, with 3 failed marriages and long stretches of searching to rediscover his own identity. Behind it all, Barry eventually chose to embrace his past instead of running from it. He wrote the memoir, Growing Up, Brady took part in nostalgic projects and found stability with his current wife. At 71, with an estimated net worth of $6 million, Barry Williams is still Greg Brady in the public's memory, but this time a grown Greg who knows exactly who he is and no longer tries to be anyone else. Number 3, we have Susan Olsen as Cindy Brady, the youngest sister with blonde pigtails and that adorable lisp, a child who always accidentally said the most awkward things but somehow melted everyone's heart right away. Susan Olsen brought such pure, innocent energy to Cindy that the character became a symbol of innocence on American television. She was just 7 years old when the Brady Bunch first aired in 1969, and she appeared throughout all 117 episodes of the series. Before that, Susan was just an unknown child actress. The role of Cindy wasn't just a breakthrough, it completely shaped how the public saw her for decades to come. But behind that sweet little girl image was a childhood that wasn't easy at all. After the show became popular, Susan was teased and isolated by classmates because of Cindy's tattletale personality on screen. Those wounds lingered quietly, affecting her self-esteem for many years. Her personal life also came with its share of pressure. Her second marriage ended as she had to raise her son, with Asperger's syndrome, on her own, a journey that was challenging both emotionally and financially. What still surprises many people is that Susan has continued to speak out on social issues, especially regarding the LGBTQ community, even though she herself has faced controversy over some of her statements. Those contradictions have made her public image far more complex than the Cindy Brady people once knew. Today, at 64, Susan Olsen is still remembered as Little Cindy, but behind those two pigtails is a woman who has lived through pain, controversy, and resilience, and who keeps moving forward. Number 4, we have Mike Lookinland, who played Bobby Brady. In the middle of all the non-stop mischief inside the Brady house, Bobby Brady was the youngest son with bright eyes and an endless sense of adventure. The kind of kid who jumps into trouble before he even understands what's going on. Mike Lookinland brought Bobby a kind of impulsive but lovable energy that made audiences both worry and laugh every time he showed up. He was just 8 years old when the Brady Bunch first aired in 1969, and he appeared in almost all 117 episodes across all 5 seasons. Before that, Mike was just a familiar face in commercials, and the role of Bobby quickly became his biggest mark, a start that seemed bright, but quietly limited the road ahead. After the spotlight faded, his life didn't follow a Hollywood script. The years that followed were a struggle, as he couldn't escape the shadow of Bobby Brady. And then came a moment that almost took everything in. 1997, in a serious car accident caused by drunk driving, Mike flipped his car on the highway. His blood alcohol level was far over the legal limit, and he came very close to death. Sadly, that was also the moment he was forced to face himself. But no one could have predicted what came next. Mike got sober, walked away from acting, and chose a completely different life, working behind the scenes before building his own concrete company. He stopped chasing fame and started building a life with his own hands. Today, at 65, Mike Lookinland lives a quiet life with a net worth of $2 million, far from the spotlight. Bobby Brady may have never grown up on screen, but in real life, Mike found something many child stars lose: a truly stable life. Number 5, we have Christopher Knight, who played Peter Brady. Right in the middle of the 6 Brady kids, Peter Brady was always the quiet space people could easily overlook, the second son, with a warm heart. Sometimes a little awkward, always trying to find his place in a family that was just too big and too bright. Christopher Knight brought a very real kind of sincerity to Peter, making audiences remember him not for being loud, but for that hard-to-name sense of closeness. He was just 11 years old when the Brady Bunch first aired in 1969, and he stayed with the show all the way through. Before that, Christopher hadn't really made any big mark. The role of Peter was both a golden opportunity, and without anyone realizing it at the time, something that would box him in within Hollywood for years to come. After the series ended, what should have been a stepping stone turned into a barrier. Audition after audition ended the same way he was too, Peter Brady. Unlike many of his co-stars who kept trying to stay in the entertainment industry, Christopher quietly took a different path. A decision no one saw coming. He stepped into the world of technology, co-founding software companies, and achieving real success, building a fortune of around $10 million in boardroom, instead of in front of the camera. His personal life also went through its share of ups and downs, especially his highly publicized marriage to model Adrienne Curry, which ended after 5 years and drew plenty of media attention. But through it all, Christopher gradually found his balance, a life less glamorous, but far more solid. Today, at 68, Christopher Knight is no longer just Peter Brady in the audience's memory. He stands as a rare example of someone who could step away from the shadow of television, rebuild from scratch, and come back this time as someone who truly understands who he is. Number 6, we have Eve Plumb, who played Jan Brady. Caught between Marcia's dazzling spotlight and Cindy's innocence, Jan Brady was always the forgotten daughter, the middle sister carrying a very real insecurity, so much so that the line, Marcia, 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 became a classic sigh for an entire generation. Eve Plumb brought a rare kind of emotional honesty to Jan, making the character not just funny, but deeply relatable. She was only 11 years old when The Brady Bunch premiered in 1969, and she appeared in all 117 episodes of the series. Before that, Eve had already been acting since childhood, but it was Jan Brady that introduced her to the public, a major turning point, and also a shadow she would later have to learn to step out of. Behind it all, Eve didn't choose the safe path. In 1976, she shocked audiences by taking on the role of a troubled runaway teen in Dawn Portrait of a Teenage Runaway, a bold move to break away from the sweet and proper Jan image. What surprised many was that her performance was both praised and rejected, as audiences weren't ready to see Jan Brady in such a harsh, gritty world. Without scandal, without falling apart, Eve quietly changed direction. She moved into theater painting and became a true artist, even building a successful home goods line called Plumb Goods. She got married in 1995 and rarely chases reunions unless they truly mean something to her. Today, at 67, with an estimated net worth of $5 million, Eve has quietly built a life of her own. No need to compete. No need to be anyone's Marcia. Number 7. We have Robbie Rist, who played Oliver. Arriving late in the final days of the Brady family, Oliver was the cute little cousin brought in as a last-ditch attempt to save the show's appeal. A lively, mischievous kid who brought fresh energy, but also unintentionally became the final note. Robbie Rist made Oliver memorable, even though the character himself became tied to one of television's most famous curses. He was only 9 years old when he joined the Brady Bunch in 1974, appearing in just the final 6 episodes of season 5. Before that, Robbie had taken on a few small roles, but Oliver was the one that brought his name to the public, though not in the way anyone had hoped. Sadly, the show was canceled right after Oliver appeared, and Robbie Rist's name became forever linked to the term Cousin Oliver syndrome, when a show adds a young new character to save ratings only for it to fail. No one could have predicted that a 9-year-old child would carry such a strange legacy for the rest of his life. But behind it all, Robbie didn't let that define him. Instead of being stuck in that old image, he shifted into voice acting and found success in a completely different way. Few people realize that he was the voice of Michelangelo in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, a childhood icon for another generation. Today, in his 60s, Robbie Rist looks back on the past with a rare sense of humor. Oliver may be seen as the kid who ended a legend, but Robbie has proven that an imperfect beginning can still lead to a memorable journey in its own way. Number 8, we have Ann B. Davis, who played Alice Nelson. In the always lively Brady household, Alice Nelson wasn't just the housekeeper. She was the quiet heart, the one who kept everything running smoothly with humor, warmth, and unconditional love. With her blue apron and witty remarks, Ann B. Davis turned Alice into something rare, an outsider who was truly family in every sense. When the Brady Bunch began in 1969, Anne was 42 years old and appeared regularly in nearly all 117 episodes of the series. Unlike many of her younger co-stars, she was already well established, having won 2 Emmy Awards for The Bob Cummings Show. The role of Alice wasn't a stepping stone. It was a choice, and it became the role that helped her reach millions of viewers in the most simple, heartfelt way. Behind that warm smile was a life that surprised many people. In 1976, at the height of her fame, Anne suddenly left Hollywood, sold her home, and moved to live in a Christian community in Texas. She gave up the spotlight to pursue her faith, a decision no one could have predicted. What still makes people pause is that she never married, and later admitted it was one of her greatest regrets. Ann B. Davis passed away in 2014 at the age of 88 after a fall at home. She didn't have a family of her own, but she became part of the memories of millions of other families. Alice Nelson may have only been a housekeeper on screen, but Anne left behind something deeper, a redefinition of love that doesn't depend on blood ties. Number 9, we have Allan Melvin, who played Sam Franklin, the friendly neighborhood butcher, with a gentle smile and endless patience. He was the kind of man who always showed up at just the right moment, carrying not only bags of groceries, but also sincere affection for Alice. Allan Melvin turned what could have been a minor character into something truly memorable, a simple man yet warm enough to make audiences believe that happiness sometimes comes from the smallest things. When he joined the Brady Bunch as it first aired, Allan was already 46 years old and appeared in just 8 episodes, a surprisingly small number. But long before that, he had already become a familiar face on American television, showing up in many popular sitcoms. Sam wasn't a stepping stone, but rather a distinctive highlight in a long and steady career. Behind it all, Allan Melvin was the kind of actor Hollywood often overlooked, always present, always reliable, but rarely given leading roles. What many people still find regretful is that he once admitted he longed for deeper, more meaningful roles, yet was often typecast in comedic parts. Even so, in his personal life, he had a marriage that lasted more than 6 decades, something almost unheard of in such a turbulent industry. Allan Melvin passed away in 2008 at the age of 84. He may not have been the brightest star in the cast, but Sam Franklin, the man who appeared only a handful of times, still lives on in the audience's memory. And sometimes it's those smaller roles that leave the longest-lasting impression. Number 10, we have Mary Treen, who played Kay. Even though she only appeared for a brief moment, Kay, the substitute housekeeper, brought a completely different feeling to the Brady home, cold, precise, and so perfect that it felt distant. Mary Treen portrayed Kay as a proper but soulless version of Alice, making viewers realize that a home can't run on discipline alone. It also needs warmth. By the time she appeared on the Brady Bunch in the early 1970s, Mary Treen was already a seasoned actress with decades of experience, even though she showed up in just 1 episode. Before that, audiences had seen her in many supporting roles in both film and television, including the classic movie, It's a Wonderful Life. What still surprises many people is that despite appearing only once, Kay helped create one of the most memorable episodes of the series, where the Brady family realizes that better doesn't always mean more suitable. Mary Treen didn't need much screen time to achieve that. She only needed precision and restraint. Mary Treen passed away in 1989 at the age of 82. She may not have been a long-standing name in the Brady family, but her role as Kay left behind a quiet lesson. Sometimes it's the absence of emotion that makes people truly understand the value of it. Number 11, we have Florence Henderson, who played Carol Brady. At the heart of the Brady home, Carol Brady is the emotional anchor, a mother who's always gentle, patient, and somehow able to calm any storm with just a smile. Florence Henderson brought a kind of almost ideal warmth to the role, making millions of viewers believe she was the perfect mother everyone wished they had. When the Brady Bunch premiered in 1969, Florence was 34 years old and appeared in all 117 episodes across 5 seasons. Unlike many of her younger co-stars, she already had a well-established career, having been a familiar face on Broadway and television since the early 1950s. But behind all of that was a life that wasn't easy at all. Growing up in poverty with 10 siblings, Florence carried a deep longing for a perfect home, and she poured all of that into Carol Brady. In real life, she went through divorce, remarriage, and the pain of losing her husband to cancer. In her later years, she quietly battled heart disease, rarely sharing it with the public. What moves many people is that just days before she passed away, she was still showing up to support her colleagues the way a mother is always there for her family. Florence Henderson passed away in 2016 at the age of 82. Carol Brady may have been just a television character, but Florence turned her into a standard not only of motherhood, but of devotion, all the way to the very end. Number 12. And now we come to Robert Reed, the man who played Mike Brady. In the eyes of the audience, Mike Brady was the ideal father. Calm, understanding, always having the right words at the right moment for 6 kids in a sun-filled home. But Robert Reed, the man behind that perfect image, carried a completely different energy, thoughtful, intellectual, and at times deeply torn between art and reality. When the Brady Bunch premiered in 1969, he was already 37 years old and went on to appear in all 117 episodes of the series. Before that, Reed was a classically trained actor with a strong foundation in Shakespearean theater, widely respected for his dramatic roles. To him, the Brady Bunch wasn't a peak. It felt more like a compromise, a family sitcom he believed was far too simple for his abilities. Behind the scenes, things were far from as smooth as they looked on screen. Reed frequently clashed with producers over the scripts, sending long memos, criticizing what he saw as illogical details. What still surprises many people is that despite his deep dissatisfaction with the show, he became a true father figure to the younger cast, caring for them, protecting them, and teaching them how to act like a dedicated mentor. But the greatest tragedy lay in his personal life. In an era when that truth could destroy a career, Robert Reed had to keep his identity as a gay man hidden. That long period of suppression, according to those close to him, contributed to his bouts of anger and inner turmoil. In his final years, he was diagnosed with HIV and later cancer, but he kept it almost entirely private, quietly withdrawing from the world. Robert Reed passed away in 1992 at the age of 59. On his gravestone is a line from Shakespeare, a final statement of who he truly was. Mike Brady was the perfect father on screen, but Robert Reed behind it all was a gifted artist who spent his life caught between 2 worlds he could never fully reconcile. The Brady family, then and now, it seemed like a gentle, heartwarming symbol of television, but behind that perfect image were stories that were never told, hidden corners that not everyone could see. Each character carried a very different journey. Some made it through, while others stayed stuck in the past. Which story left the biggest impression on you? And try to ask yourself, did any of them truly live a full and happy life like the one we saw on screen? The more you understand, the more fragile the line between image and reality becomes. If this video brought back old memories and gave you a completely new perspective, don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss the next compelling stories.